I really think that it's time for us as the art community to be honest with ourselves and really acknowledge the fact that most artists don't actually care about improving. And I don't necessarily see that as a problem. Hey, for those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Sia. I'm a storyboard artist working in the animation industry. On my channel, I like to talk about animation industry news. Sometimes I give commentary on art community drama online. And I also make a lot of advice videos for people interested in being professional artists. Before I get into the video, I want to plug my Discord community real quick. I have a Discord server that I run where I give people homework assignments, I do weekly streams, and I answer any questions people have about what it's like being a professional artist. I also do personalized one-on-one mentorship on my Discord server starting at just $20 a month. If you're interested, the link is going to be in the description box down below. Most artists will say that they want to improve, but if we're really being honest with ourselves, they actually don't. They just want to be good enough to be able to make a living off of their art, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing or something to be ashamed of. Most artists are, however, stuck in bad habits and mindsets that can keep them from getting better. I've been mentoring artists of all ages in some capacity for the last few years, and there's a lot of recurring mistakes I see, especially amongst beginners, that really hold them back from achieving their goals. I'm gonna get into some of those reasons, and if you feel attacked or if you see yourself in any of these things that I'm gonna talk about, honestly, that's a good thing. That means you can work to improve it. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of artists making is not being honest with themselves about whether they want to do art as a career or as a hobby. And I don't know why that is. Maybe there's a lot of shame associated with wanting to give up on something that you've been wanting to do for a long time. I know we live in an era where we're constantly pressured to win at capitalism and monetize all of our side hustles and be able to have multiple income streams and whatnot, but to be honest with you, there is nothing wrong with drawing just for fun. If you're serious about making art your career, you have to act like it. That means studying, building a portfolio, networking, and finishing things, not just starting a new piece over and over again for months on end, okay? A lot of people claim that they want to make it, but they're not really putting the work required to make it, and honestly, I think a lot of those people are better off just letting art be a hobby and then pursuing something else for their career. A lot of people are not willing to treat art like the job it is, and because of that, I think they languish for years and years on end trying to figure out why they're not able to achieve their art goals. I really think it's important for people to do a little bit of soul searching and really ask themselves, if art becomes boring, when you try to be more objective with it and try to put more effort into it and really treat it like a job and not just a hobby, maybe you don't want to be a professional artist. Maybe you're just better off being a hobbyist. There's really nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of pressure on us to be able to make it as an artist or quit our 9 to 5s just so that we can pursue our real passions. But honestly, I think a lot of it's really overrated, and I'm here to tell you that there is a flip side to those things. Just because you're an artist doesn't mean you have to make money off of it. Maybe you're considering having some other career for your livelihood that is more stable. Not gonna lie, I know a lot of professional artists that have made it that are still trying to switch careers to something else because they just don't want to do it for a living anymore. It's not for everyone, and if you're watching this video, I highly encourage you to do some soul searching to really figure out if it is for you or not. Because if deep down you don't want to take it seriously, you are never going to improve. You are never going to be able to make a career out of it. And it's better if you're honest with yourself about it sooner than later. The second one might sound odd, but a lot of artists don't improve because they're not willing to trace. Hear me out. There is so much stigma associated for some reason with using reference, and I really don't know why that is. I see it a lot in online art communities and not necessarily, the real world. Guys, professionals use reference all the time, and sometimes that includes tracing, believe it or not. Tracing is not necessarily cheating. If you don't understand how something works, breaking it down by tracing will teach you more than guessing and just hoping for the best. Obviously, don't trace all the time, don't plagiarize. If you're tracing something, you can just treat it as practice and not post it anywhere online. You need to be able to use reference to learn and not just using it as a crutch. So be diligent and use discretion when you're tracing, but don't shy away from tracing altogether. That doesn't make you any less of an artist. Full disclosure, when I was a storyboard artist on King of the Hill, I had a really hard time drawing all the characters. My default drawing style is pretty anime and not very realistic, so when I started working on King of the Hill, I was having a really hard time drawing Hank Hill with all of his weird lumps and bumps and creases and everything. Yeah, he's a lot harder to draw than he looks, guys. I dare you to try. It's just so easy for him to look off. It was kind of like when you're looking at a word for too long and the word just like stops making sense. It just looks like lines on paper. That's how I felt about Hank Hill's face. Okay. I traced over the official character designs on King of the Hill all the time on my storyboards, and those storyboards weren't just rough. They were clean storyboards that were shipped off to the overseas studios to be animated. Professionals trace all the time, believe it or not. Because King of the Hill was so realistic and so grounded in its style, I also had to trace a lot of hands. Like, I would take photos of my hands at my computer and I would just like drag and drop them into Storyboard Pro and trace over them just so I can get it right. Granted, a lot of this just comes down to schedules. I don't have 15 minutes to spend on one hand drawing, so I really had to be able to rush and still make it look good. But if professionals trace with discretion, so can you. So don't be afraid to use it as a tool to help you improve. The last reason I want to talk about in this video is a lot of artists don't improve and fail in their art careers because they're unprofessional. Your skills matter, it is important to be able to improve and all that, but so does your reputation. If you're difficult to work with, if you complain a lot, if you flake on deadlines, if you argue with people giving you advice, word gets around. The art industry is small, networking is crucial, and those soft skills are just as important as those hard skills. So don't flake on people, respond to emails, be polite, don't complain if you're given an assignment that's challenging, and respect people's time, especially if they're giving it to you for free. If an artist is very talented but unreliable, people are gonna work with them once and then never recommend them for another job ever again. Word spreads fast, so don't be that person that's a nightmare to work with. A lot of artists, myself included, are really guilty of being afraid to switch gears and reevaluate their circumstances. Sometimes the thing that you thought you wanted to do is not necessarily the thing that's actually working out for you. Maybe you really wanted to be a concept artist so badly, but then you realize you hate being stuck at a desk for 20 hours a day. Maybe you're better off just working with your hands, making sculptures, or doing some other form of art that doesn't require you to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. So if something isn't working out for you, don't be afraid to pivot. I started taking YouTube seriously about a year ago because I had just realized how unstable the animation industry is and how important it is to have multiple streams of income. The artists who succeed are the ones that are willing to shift gears and try something new. People change up their business plans all the time. You just gotta keep throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. There's a lot of other issues that artists have that hold them back from improving, such as not being able to take criticism, not be able to look at their own work objectively, or not broadening their influences. Honestly, I have made entire videos just on those topics, so I highly recommend checking out this playlist if you haven't already. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!